U.S. government, news outlets, companies, and social movements have been placing heavy focus on black communities with narratives of how to help them. Yet according to Maj Toure, founder of Black Guns Matter, this help is one of the greatest forms of harm. We speak with Maj Toure about the need to keep government within its limits, about how this can help not just black communities, but Americans overall. We also speak about the key problems affecting the United States, including the intentional destruction of morality from totalitarians, corrupt money in Congress, and how a system has been at play to manufacture dependence. Hey, Maj Toure, thanks for being on Crossroads.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
A year, 2 years?
Long time no interview, but I see all the time.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah. Thank you. Well, look, you're doing some great work.
Yeah.
You're teaching people not only about gun ownership and gun rights, but also about independence.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm starting to think these things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
That they say people shouldn't own guns and so on. It's people who aren't able to govern themselves who are not able to, responsibly use a firearm. And I know you're working on that part of it, which is where I think the real focus needs to be. So tell me what you're doing.
I think that with our work at Black Guns Matter and the Solutionary Center as well, it's not that the communities can't govern ourselves. It's government bothering us too much.
Yeah.
Leave us alone. There's a great book called Please Stop Helping Us.
I've seen that book. I haven't read it, but I know that one. Yeah.
Since government involvement, we just watched a great film. I forget the name of it, but I'll make sure it'll pop in my head. But since the 60s, where government said, we're going to come in, we're going to help you, welfare, we're going to do all of these other different things. Now, again, welfare was initially created, and it was after the World War, but it was a concentration in the 60s in the black community to say, we're going to help you. We're going to help you so much that if you want to get on welfare, you can't have a man in the house. You can't have a stable family life.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
So it's not that people can't govern themselves. It's government keeps coming in to try to govern for them. We see this with these new great deals. We got AOC pushing this new great deal in New York. There would have been jobs created, and then the company goes, no, thank you. We're not going to capitulate to that. So the community being informed and making those decisions outside of government meddling creates a more substantial, powerful, and empowered community.
Yeah, well, that's deep. I was just watching, actually, I mentioned that I got the pre-release of Uncle Tom 2.
Yeah.
And that movie, I hope every person on the planet watches that movie. Yeah. Honestly, I was watching I read this stuff all the time. My mind was blown.
Yeah.
Because what it shows is black communities and what they were before what you're talking about started happening.
Yes.
And these were like some of the most righteous, responsible, self-governing people you had in this nation.
Yeah.
They were such good people.
Yeah.
And they show how after the government started intervening in their lives and getting involved in trying to, helping them, so to speak, that they messed things up. And so, how did that cause that in your eyes?
Government, by definition, I think people need to be very clear on what government is. That's why the founders wanted very limited government. There are certain basic things. Okay, protect the borders, protect your nation, promote commerce in the roads, right? To simplify it, hospitals, things like that, right? But generally, government is a mafia. It's a protection racket. It is, we're going to sell you your rights back to you. We're going to pretend, it's Hegelian dialect. We're going to create a problem. We're going to pretend that we're the solution. And then we're going to charge you to get the solution back.
Yeah.
That's what overreaching government is.
We see that in Detroit 100%. The government is causing half the problems. And then they say the solution is more of what caused the problem in the first place.
Here, the clearest example, and this is not to be offensive to any American that works in governmental bodies, right? We all work, we do what we do, and this is the current space that we're in. But philosophically and historically, if you can't step back and correlate the last 2 years with government overreach, we're going to help you. We're going to print up 40% of the world's money, of American money supply ever in the last 2 years. We're helping Ukraine by taking money from America to a place that none of us generally haven't been. This is not in the Constitution. These are wars by proxy. These things are government so-called help that small businesses are struggling, that government said you cannot open your small business. And that 2 years later, after we see the mask mandates didn't work, Masks don't help. There's over 40,000 reported deaths in association with this jab globally, to like things like VAERS and stuff like that, which are all underreported. But this is the government stepping in and telling the people what they cannot do. That is not the free market enterprise. And so if you can't correlate that over the last 2 years to insert whatever timeline when communist China says and Mao says, we got this, we're here to help you. When your socialist government say, Venezuela swimming in all of the oil 20, 30 years ago, and now they asking for bread in the street. If you can't correlate that, I don't know if there's any help for you. Now, I believe in redemption, but that there needs to be a re-education process. And because civics and these things have been snatched from these schools, we as the people have to do it. That's what this Solutionary Center is all about.